So hi guys, so welcome to the demo of these CrafTangles Chalk Paint. So before even we get into the same, again there were a couple of queries that was asked to me on Facebook, as well as there were a few queries on our Instagram page, that whether are these paints safe, lead free, non-toxic, etc. So let me clarify the doubts here again, that these are lead free paints. These are safe to use. They are completely non-toxic. These are heavy bodied paints that you get over here, and they dry matte. This is a special formulation which dries super quick and they dry matte. As well as these are different from acrylic paints because over the period of time when applied on glass, they're not going to peel off. These paints do not need primer, unlike other paints that you need in market. So these are how CrafTangles chalk paints are different from the acrylic paints or other paints, and I hope I was able to resolve the queries that you had around these paints. And yes, they give excellent coverage. So till date I think there was only 1 or 2 places where I had to even go for 3 coats, and that was because I was using a light paint on a dark base. Normally I prefer to use thin coats on my projects because I find them to provide me a much more consistent and smoother coverage than a thick coverage. So that is why I normally do 2 coats. However, if you use a very thick coat, you can always get away with 1 coat as well. So it again depends on it's a personal preference on how you like to apply paints, etc. So I hope I was able to clarify again. There were quite a few queries of this that we got on our Instagram, Facebook page, quite a few emails around this, and I was able to clarify the same for you all. So now I'll open these paints for you. So these paints are sealed, when they are traveling to you through couriers, etc., they are not going to break off or leak on you and ruin your other items which are coming in the parcel. So let me just open. Again, most of the people do throw the foil away. I don't, because I live in Bombay, which is a very hot climate, at least 6 months in a year, and I think most of the India is like that, and things tend to dry faster over here than in other countries. And hence for any of my paints or my mixed media products, irrespective of the brand, irrespective of the country, and try and keep the foils. That is a thing that I have learned the hard way. Many of my branded products, both US brands, European brands, Indian brands, have all dried up over the period of years because of the climate that we have in India. So I would suggest you do the same for these as well. Try and keep the foil. Okay. I'll have to cut. I'm really bad at all this. I think you would have already seen that. Yeah. Okay. Now let me just get a paper towel. Ow. I'm just taking some paper towel. Again, you can see how vibrant the red is. Okay. So let me do some surgery and open the foil, because that's the closest I'll ever get to surgery. Yep. So this is the red color. Let me also open another color for you. So this is mint color, mint 2B. It's a light green color as shown over here. So yeah, don't mind my stained hands. I'm a very messy crafter, and then I sit and clean everything for hours because again I have an OCD. If you would have been following my YouTube channel, you would already know that. Okay, yeah, much better. Okay. So this is a green. So again, I took colors from 2 different color families because, you know, just easy to differentiate and I can share it with you. So then I have quite a lot of mediums that I wanted to try. First is of course wood or MDF, because that's the most common thing that we use either for decoupage or for furniture painting. So let me just get my water. I'll get another brush for green color. Okay. So I'll just take some paint, and again I have wet my brush, and as I said, you know, I prefer doing thin coats. You could go with a thicker coat, personal preference. If I go with thicker coat, you know, just for the sake of this video, let me show it for you. So here is the coverage. Keep this, okay, let me just put it here and let this dry. Meanwhile, I'll put another color for you. Oops, everything is getting dirty. Okay, give me a moment. Yeah. So I want my brush to be wet, but not so much so that, you know, the water is dripping from it. So I just took off the excess water using the towel. Now I'll take some red and I'll apply over here. Again, these colors are blendable, so you can see where the red and the green mixes, you know, it will probably give you a different shade because they have started blending. And that's fine, because I just wanted to show the coverage to you. Okay. So we'll let this dry. Let me just take paper and put it aside to dry. Okay, clean this up. Okay. So here is just one glass that I had, and I thought it's a good time to share it with you, that how this is applied. So again, there is no sanding etc. done on this particular piece. Now personally, if you ask me, on sleek surfaces you normally don't need it to be sand to apply chalk paints. However, when I do it, because I want this to last super long, and you know, if there are scratches, I don't want the paint to come off, hence I normally sand it. But you know, if you want to forego it, you can let it go, it's not a problem. So I'll just apply these on glass. Yeah. I'm just doing some small testing for you all, just small area. Okay, let this dry. It is, I don't know if you can see, but it has already started drying. That's how quick the formula is. Now why this formula was made to be fast drying is because, you know, with furniture painting or with decoupage also, normally people do 2 coats, and I don't know about you all, but I honestly don't have patience to wait for 2-3 hours or 4 hours in between for it to dry. Normally half an hour, 45 minutes, maximum 1 hour, and we are done. So that is what I like, you know, wait maximum for half an hour to 45 minutes or to 1 hour if the climate is too humid for you, and let this all dry and go and apply the next coat. So I'll keep the glass aside. And then I'll use a chipboard. So chipboard is again a no-brainer because I think I've already done a videos where I've shown you paper and chipboard, but still I thought just for the sake of video I'll share it with you that it can be applied on chipboard. Since it can be applied on chipboard, it can be applied on paper as well. Yeah, so that was chipboard. Let this dry. Next up is another sleek surface. So this is just a plastic plate that I got. Again, it's very sleek, so you can definitely paint over this. However, if you scratch it, you like go on with it and scratch it very hard, the paint will come off, because it's a very sleek surface, and irrespective of any brand, the paint does come off. So hence we add varnish on top of it to seal the paint inside this sleek surfaces like glass or plastic. And even you can even sand it so that this paint, like let's say if it is adhering to 100%, if you sand it and then apply it, it will adhere even 200%, because you are giving it a rough surface for the paint to be applied and to stick on. You are giving it a space for it to stick on something. So I'll just take the paint and show you both the colors. Again, the formulation remains the same irrespective of the colors. Yes, depending on the pigment, some pigments does dry faster, and that is universal because that's the behavior of the pigment and not the base. That's irrespective of the color. It's not the base that has an issue, it's the pigment. So some pigments do dry faster than the others, but the coverage, etc., the way they are applied, everything remains the same because the base for these paints are the same. So this is a plastic tray. Let this dry. Again, another plastic. So just some old lids that I had for my mixed media projects. So I'm just sharing that with you all. You can see they apply easily. Okay. Then I have this primed canvas sheet. So these are like canvas cloth, and many of you you use this even for your canvases or for your pouches, for your fabric decoupage, etc. So I thought I would share how this paint reacts on these as well. And before I get into it, I thought I'll share with you this resin frame. So I'll just take some paint. You can see the kind of coverage that I was talking about. This is just one coat, and that too super quick. And this is the coverage which I was talking about. Okay, so while this dries, let me move on to another medium. Which is twine. So again, it's a no-brainer. If you apply it on cloth, it will be applied on twine, but still I thought I'll share it with you all. You can see the twine has started staining already. Okay, give me a second. Oops. So I'll let this dry. Here is a canvas. So with canvas I prefer to wet and thin the paint even further. So I don't like to apply it directly, because if I thin the paint, it will thin it and it will even add it in those grooves and the textures that you see, and it is more like dyeing the base or the canvas or the cloth rather than just painting it, so it's more like dyeing it. Again, the coverage is pretty smooth. You can see that I was able to extend this paint so much, so I just applied it in this area and then I was extended till almost 1/3 of the coverage, 1/3 of the page. I was able to extend it. I can even extend it further. So yeah, next I'll show you the green color. So again, I'm wetting it, taking some paint. Okay, you can see I have quite a lot of water on this, because as I said, I like to thin the paint when I apply it on any fabric, be it canvas or any other fabric, because it goes really well that way and it feels like you are dyeing the cloth rather than just painting it. So with these paints, especially on cloth, a little goes a long way, and these paints have excellent coverage, so these bottles would last you quite long and will at least last you 1 or 2 furnitures, depending on, of course, the size of the furniture. But yeah, they last quite long. So that was the canvas. I let it dry. Another base that a lot of you had query on was a metal plate. So this is a metal plate, it's rusty, so I just thought I'll paint on this and share it with you that yes, you can apply paint, CrafTangles Chalky Paint on metal as well. So let me show. Again, I'm going for a thinner coats, hence you can see the dark color below, and you can of course see the texture. That is because it's a textured plate. Now if I go thicker coat, like how I'm going over here, you can see that it has gone much more opaque over here than over here, because this is a thin coat and this is a thick coat. So this is the difference that I was talking about. So we'll let this dry and I'll show it with a light color. Now this is what I was talking about when I said dark. So these rusty effect is like black in color, and I'm using a very light green on top of it. So I may have to go with multiple coats, because this is literally black color and on top of it I'm going with a very light shade. And again, a very light coverage. So this is a super light coverage, and now I'll go with a thick coverage. So I'll show it to you here, so you can see the difference. This is a thick coverage and this is a thin coverage. So you can do either depending on what your preference is. I personally like to go multiple times but with a light coverage, as I find the finish on this light coverage is much better than this thick coverage. So I think those are all the materials that I wanted to show it to you. Now I'll let these dry, and I'll probably in 10-15 minutes I'll come back and show you how they look. So hi guys, I'm back after 15 minutes and this is how everything looks. So I'll start off first with the glass surface. As you would have seen, we did not prime anything, we just applied the colors directly, and it has all dried. And if now I rub my hand over it, so you can see nothing is coming off. There's no color that has come off. Same with green, nothing comes off. However, if you use a pointy tool, irrespective of whether it's acrylic paint or chalk paint or spray paints for that matter, if you use a pointy tool like a scissors end, and go like this, then it will scratch. And that will happen irrespective of the paint, because glass is a sleek surface unless you are using a glass paint. However, as far as I remember, with my trials with glass paints, if you go with such kind of sharp objects, that will also peel. So that was glass. Next up is metal. So this is where we applied the darker coat, and this was lighter. So you can see that here it's more opaque and here it's slightly transparent because we were adding lighter layers, and here we were adding thicker layers. Same here, I think in mint you will be able to see it much better. This is a thicker coat and these are the lighter coats. And this again, let me use a clean finger. So I'll just rub, and you can see there is no color that is coming off. Same goes with green, nothing has come off. And this is just one coat of the paint that we have applied on all the surfaces. Next up is resin. Resin has taken the paint really beautifully. You can see how it looks. Again, everything is well covered. Paint has seeped into nooks and crannies, and it has given a very smooth and opaque coverage to everything. So yeah, that was resin. Next up is plastic. Again, the same thing as glass and metal. There is no color that rubs off. However, if you scratch it, it will come off. Next is canvas sheets. You can see it's pliable, there is no issue with it folding or anything after applying. Yes, it does become slightly stiffer than what it was earlier, but it does fold. And if you go even with lighter coat, which I would suggest, go even further light, like add more water and paint it like you are adding dye to a fabric, and it will make the cloth even less stiffer, and it will be perfect fabric decoupage. So this was fabric. Next is twine. So you can see that, let me just, so now hopefully you can see better. Yeah, so it has stained the twine as well. So this goes with all cotton cords. I just wanted to try a new medium, so this is jute twine. However, you do the same thing with cotton cords or twines, it's the same thing. Cotton cords takes again, the chalk paint very beautifully, and it is being used in the rope decoupage very well. Then this is chipboard, and this is MDF. So you can see the coverage is very complete, even though I have added light coats of colors. and if you add a layer of white and on top of it you add colors, it will be even more vibrant because you are giving it a solid base to work on. So yeah, I think that was it. That was what I wanted to share with you when I share these newly launched CrafTangles chalky paints. And I hope you enjoyed this informative video that we had. Next up for our release are two new things, and we'll be sharing them with you right now.